Okay, so no sooner did we drop our video about Project Stargate than that whole story got blown out of the water. So here was just to recap a little bit. Donald Trump announced to much fanfare this new $500 million investment in AI, but it didn't go quite as expected. So let's take a look.
My honor to welcome three of the world's leading technology CEOs. And in the case of Larry Ellison, it's well beyond technology. He's sort of CEO of everything. He's an amazing man, an amazing business person. But to announce the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history, and it's all taking place right here in America.
A few moments later.
Stock markets opened just a few minutes ago, and it's not pretty. Down big, especially the tech-heavy NASDAQ. CNN's Matt Egan is here to explain what we're seeing and why, Matt.
Yeah, John, we've got a bit of a tech sell-off this morning, and it's being caused by earth-shattering developments in the AI space. So let's take a look at this. You see the Dow down more than 140 points right now. The S&P solidly lower, but the real action is over here in the NASDAQ, 600 points lower, nearly 3%, on track for one of its worst days in the past 2 years. And here's why. There's a Chinese startup that few people had ever heard of until the past few days, and it has emerged as a real player in the AI arms race.
Fuck.
Now, the most stunning thing here isn't necessarily that China has developed a pretty good AI app. It's how cheap it is. DeepSeek says that their AI model only cost $5.6 million.
Are you serious?
Anthropic, one of the leading AI companies, has said that it costs about $100 million to $1 billion to develop an AI model. We know that Mark Zuckerberg, the Meta CEO, says that his company plans to spend $65 billion on AI. So, John, look, this is all really questioning sort of the foundation here of the AI boom, which is that it requires a lot of spending, which is that the U.S. is running away with the AI arms race, and it's also questioning some of the big positives that had pushed markets to record highs.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
It is questioning the underpinnings, all right. I think it lays to bear the fact that Larry Ellison, who looks like a salad bar tycoon, may have quoted you too hot.
He might have overplayed his hand.
Drifting scumbags, yeah, exactly.
Might have overplayed his hand.
Yeah.
All right. So that video, haven't done meme play in a while. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was taken in the morning when the markets were first dipping. By the end of the day, biggest market loss in history.
Yeah.
NVIDIA stock sheds nearly 600 billion. I
Didn't
think
this have like a $2 trillion
589 billion.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And the crypto market got hit too. $850 million crypto flash crash. So what's going on here? What's this all about? What is DeepSeek? Chinese startup DeepSeek's launch of its latest AI models, which it says are on a par or better than industry-leading models in the United States at a fraction of the cost, is threatening to upset the technology world order. The company has attracted attention in global AI circles after writing in a paper last month that the training of DeepSeek V3 required less than $6 million worth of computing power from NVIDIA H800 chips. DeepSeek's AI assistant, powered by DeepSeek V3, has overtaken rival ChatGPT to become the top-rated free application available on Apple's App Store in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
This has raised doubts about the reasoning behind some U.S. tech companies' decision to pledge billions of dollars in AI investment, and shares of several big tech players, including NVIDIA, have been hit. The release of OpenAI's ChatGPT in late 2022 caused a scramble among Chinese tech firms who rushed to create their own chatbots powered by artificial intelligence. But after the release of the first Chinese ChatGPT equivalent made by search engine giant Baidu, there was widespread disappointment in China at the gap in AI capabilities between US and Chinese firms. The quality and cost efficiency of DeepSeek's models have flipped this narrative on its head. The two models that have been showered with praise by Silicon Valley executives and US tech company engineers alike, DeepSeek V3 and DeepSeek R1, are on par with OpenAI and Meta's most advanced models, the Chinese startup has said. They are also cheaper to use. The DeepSeek R1 released last week is 20 to 50 times cheaper to use than OpenAI O1 model, depending on the task, according to a post on DeepSeek's official WeChat account.
Big surrender to the communists.
Publicly expressed skepticism about DeepSeek's success story. So let's take a look at another CEO. Let me get the name here. CEO of Scale AI said his understanding is that DeepSeek has 50,000 NVIDIA H100s, which they can't talk about. So let's take a look.
Chinese labs, they have more H100s than people think. You know, these are the highest powered NVIDIA chips that they were not supposed to have. Yes. My understanding is that DeepSeek has about 50,000 H100s, which they can't talk about, obviously, because it is against the export controls that the United States has put in place. And I think it is true that, I think they have more chips than other people expect, but also on a go-forward basis, they are going to be limited by the chip controls and the export controls that we have in place.
Okay, all right. So let me just pause for a second to just explain this. Now, one of the things as an American that's very interesting about this story is a big part of our national myth, even though this has not been true of us in a very long time. A big part of our national myth is we're the scrappy underdog using our inventiveness and our creativity to work our way around problems, right? Apollo 13, failure is not an option. You're going to find a way, right? You're going to MacGyver it, whatever it is. This is flipping the American myth on its head in many ways because, okay, if you do take it at face value, which the CEO is challenging the narrative, but if you take the story at face value, we imposed sanctions on the highest quality chips, and the Chinese, who, along with Asian culture generally, we tend to label as being very good at organizing together, but not being very good at thinking outside the box. Well, this flips that whole thing. This is usually the way we would see ourselves, right? Well, they wouldn't give us the best chips, so you know what? We found a way. We figured out a way around it, and we invented something better with our creativity. Now, according to what they're putting out, that's what they did. They figured out a way to do it much more cheaply with the chips they could get because, happy accident, they couldn't get these chips, and they wound up inventing something better than they would have if they could have gotten the chips. Now, because it's open source, people can look at the code, at the invention. There's no trick here. In terms of what chips it's running on, there's no way to know whether that's true or not true. What we do know is that the Chinese just kicked our ass and have proven, whatever the case with the chips is, that you don't need to spend $500 billion to get this result in many, many ways, not just in the AI sense, but in terms of the whole way we look at Asia versus the West generally, and America specifically. They beat us at our own game.
Yeah, no, that's the inefficiency of capitalism there, is when you have to pay for the 200-yard yachts of the oligarchs who are building this for you. That creates a lot of waste. Creates a lot of waste in the system. I was watching Jimmy's segment on this morning, and Kurt said something that was, really true. I think it's literally true. He says, this is basically an act of war. Like, this is back to an act of war by China against the U.S. And he's right. I mean, and good on them. This is how China fights its wars. we fight our wars by blowing the skulls open of 5-year-old Arab girls. China fights wars by creating free apps for us to use that expose the ridiculousness of our system. Nonviolent, no one gets hurt. They actually help people when they wage this kind of war. But this is an economic act of war. I mean, this is a cataclysmic.
It basically undermines a lot of the rationale of Silicon Valley investment.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And this goes back to the days after the financial crisis, where they were the recipient of so much of this because it was so expensive. It's going to cost so much. Yes, we can do this, but it's going to really require the government funneling boatloads of money to these absolute soulless scumbags who would fire you via automated app message if they could. Yeah.
Well, and this is, I actually have a tweet from him later on in the presentation. Varoufakis, the author of Techno-feudalism, he weighed in on this. And a big part of his whole central thesis of how we got here, how we got to what he calls techno-feudalism, is that after 2008, the Fed made all of this cheap money available, so that all of these unprofitable Silicon Valley companies were able to build up these tech monopolies on unprofitable products and services that they never could have established without all that cheap free money from the Fed.
Exactly. We're talking about 15 years of just unquestioned investment with no public debate, really, no difference between who's in charge, Democrat, Republican. This was sort of a post-financial crisis economic assumption that now is going to be questioned.
Right. All right. So let's get into it. Bernstein analysts on Monday highlighted in a research note that DeepSeek's total training costs for its V3 model were unknown, but were much higher than the $5.58 million the startup said was used for computing power. The analysts also said the training costs of the equally acclaimed R1 model were not disclosed. DeepSeek is a Hangzhou-based startup whose controlling shareholder is Liang Wenfang, co-founder of quantitative hedge fund High Flyer, based on Chinese corporate records. High Flyer's AI unit said on its official WeChat account in July 2022 that it owns and operates a cluster of 10,000 A100 chips. DeepSeek's success has already been noticed in China's top political circles. On January 20th, the day DeepSeek R1 was released to the public, founder Liang attended a closed-door symposium for businessmen and experts hosted by Chinese Premier Li Qiang, according to state news agency Xinhua. I'm going to have to learn to say these things. I suspect we're going to be covering this a lot over the next few years. Liang's presence at the gathering is potentially a sign that DeepSeek's success could be important to Beijing's policy goal of overcoming Washington's export controls and achieving self-sufficiency in strategic industries like AI. You think? So you know how you can really see that the system has collapsed and everybody hates it and everyone's rooting for the United States to go down? From Luigi Mangione, who didn't do anything, to DeepSeek, every time something like this happens, where the institutions are challenged, where the assumptions are challenged, where American hegemony is challenged, the internet explodes with mirth and humor and mockery of the United States. Not, oh, we had better get our stuff together. Even Donald Trump did not react the way you would expect. Let's see what he said.
And over the last couple of days, I've been reading about China and some of the companies in China, one in particular, coming up with a faster method of AI and much less expensive method. And that's good, because you don't have to spend this much money. I view that as a positive, as an asset. So,
too late now, you sucker-ass bitch.
Fact, and if it's true, and nobody really knows if it is, but I view that as a positive, because you'll be doing that too. So you won't be spending as much and you'll get the same result, hopefully.
No, you're still going to have to spend as much.
The release of DeepSeek AI from
they have lifestyles to
a
maintain.
Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries, that we need to be laser-focused on competing to win, because we have the greatest scientists in the world. Even Chinese leadership told me that. They said you have the most brilliant scientists in the world. And Seattle and
did they pat you on the head as they
places,
told you that?
Silicon Valley, they said, there's nobody like those people. This is very unusual when you hear a DeepSeek, when you hear somebody come up with something. We always have the ideas. We're always first. So I would say that's a positive. That could be very much a positive development. So instead of spending billions and billions, you'll spend less and you'll come up with, hopefully, the same solution. Under the Trump administration, we're going to unleash our tech companies and we're going to dominate the future like never before. And
that's not how it works here.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like cope.
Yeah, that's cope. Well, yeah. I mean, that's not how it works here. That's not how it works here. We have to pay. Those Bezos bimbo boob jobs don't pay for themselves.
No,
right?
they do not.
You said $500 billion. That's what it costs here in America.
All right, but this was a lot of fun. DeepSeek and Zhao Shu would like to have a chat with Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir. Let's see what he said recently.
We talk about why there's no tech scene in China or Russia. Like, there is no tech scene. There are no software companies.
Oh, really? Oh, really? There's no tech scene and no software companies because of Western superiority. I mean, we know the drift of Alex Karp's mind. We know how that sentence ends. Because of our creativity, because of our animal spirits, right? Well, I'd be interested to see what he has to say about this. So here's Yanis Varoufakis. Yo, man, call us. We're trying to get you on. This is delicious. How China's DeepSeek has blown a $1 trillion hole in the U.S. techno-feudal order. All it took was a smart tech solution that turned OpenAI's process of commodifying our data into a free good. Let's see how our techno-feudalists respond. Arman, DeepSeek and TikTok have taught me American engineering talent is pure cope. After working at ByteDance and with their engineers, China is set up to win the global AI race and embarrass us. Peter Schiff, this one was funny. China may have jumped ahead of us in AI with the launch of DeepSeek, but they can't touch us when it comes to meme coins. We've got that lucrative market cornered. We're number one. Open source is communism, and DeepSeek just wiped out $1.2 trillion of Wall Street. And this is meme. That's very good. This is interesting. This is a Chinese economist here. Americans can never understand China. That's why they keep getting their ass kicked by Huawei, DJI, TikTok, DeepSeek, etc. Chinese economist Jin Ku summarizes the China model in one sentence. So let's hear her.
Think about China's models as being extremely centralized, right? That's our impression about China. It's only partially correct. It's political centralization coupled with an extreme form of economic decentralization.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. So yeah, hey, NVIDIA today, last I looked, they were having a little bit of what you call a dead cat bounce. When something drops that severely, very often it'll come back a little bit the next day, 2-3% of bargain hunters. But this seems so systemic and so structural. I don't see how this does not wipe out literally trillions of dollars in value. I mean, this is just one of those tulip mania things, perhaps on a larger scale than we've ever seen in history, where all of these resources went into companies and technologies and assumptions that are going to turn out to be completely smoke and mirrors. And at that point, wow. The correction a lot of people have been calling. You have a lot of very smart people, but seriously, a lot of very smart people have been saying for a long time, we have an everything bubble, that all of these assets are inflated and there will be a reckoning. This could definitely be the beginning of that.
Absolutely. And couldn't come fast enough in my view. I want to play this one more time.
Think about China's models as being extremely centralized, right? That's our impression about China. It's only partially correct. It's political centralization coupled with an extreme form of economic decentralization.
Right. And so this is where the cope comes in, because then you have people saying, well, that means it's not really communism, it's capitalism with state centralization and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so maybe it's not 1958 anymore. Maybe you shouldn't take economic lectures from cranks who haven't gotten their dicks hard since the Tiananmen Square protests. And maybe you should start understanding the reality of the world, which is that economic systems evolve and change over time.
Right.
Things are fluid. Communism doesn't mean cloudy skies and gray shirts. Like it could mean things change with time. So yes, China is a communist country. Maybe communism means something in the year 2025 that it didn't mean back in 1961. You ever think that as a possibility? No, people are just so dogmatic in this country about the dominance of their economic system, and this is going to question those assumptions. I mean, if not this, what? If not this, what? You're talking about a few $1 million. You're talking about, what are you, $6 million? Garrett Cole gets paid $3 million to pitch a baseball game. So for the price of 2 baseball games from the best pitcher in baseball, in theory anyway, you get this. Where what do we just have? We just had Donald Trump bring these douchebags into Washington, selling them on a $500 billion investment.
Well, if you want to talk about another way in which this flips everything on its head, America at one time, at its height, really excelled at projecting soft power. This is an amazing example of projecting soft power to sell people on their system.
Right.
Look how much better our system works. You guys days ago are talking about spending $500 billion, and we spent $6 million. So let's talk about which system is superior. Which system actually works better? And you want to talk? I'm seeing a lot. I didn't include it in the exhibition, but a lot of people are showing how if you put in, can you talk about the photo where the man is holding shopping bags in front of a tank? How it won't give you an answer, and it, they have videos of it. I didn't try it out myself, but okay, I'll take that as a given. All right, so try putting Free Palestine into TikTok here in the United States. How can you show? Let's see some videos of that, of what happens when you put in Free Palestine. We just had the CIA
Let me put in "suck my dick" and it'll show me a picture of you. How's that?
Yeah.
How's that? How's that for an idea? I downloaded this thing as soon as I heard about this, and no in-app purchases, bullshit. No this, that. No, it's fucking free. It's a free. I can finally write my book now that there's a free text AI app that I can use.
And to be clear, we're extremely anti-censorship, but this country, particularly post October 7th, but also post COVID and post many other things, we don't have the protections of the First Amendment as advertised.
Right.
We do not. There are things you cannot talk about without look at all the professors getting fired. Look at what just happened at Harvard. Look what's happening at NYU. Look what you're not allowed to talk about. So you cannot say, well, no, but that doesn't happen here. Yeah, hell yeah, it happens here.
Right,
it happens here on a lot of the platforms that you interact with on a daily basis. It happens on the platform we're on right now.
Of course. Yep. One of them. Not Rumble, of course. But
well, not our friends at Rumble.
Not our friends at Rumble, right, of course. But no, look what just happened to TikTok. They banned it, and then they made some deal to unban it, but you can't say Free Palestine anymore.
Right. Now, what if they did that in China? You'd hear all of these same people, look at what they did.
Right.
Not a peep about it here.
Yeah. No, it's a great story. It's a great story. I was very excited to learn about this. I downloaded the app as soon as I heard about it. So yeah.
I understand they're releasing now the visual model. So
really?
So we'll use that. We experimented with it as soon as ChatGPT dropped it. We did, and it came up with that very good like Peter, Max, Nixon, and Kissinger in the Oval Office painting.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what the visual component can do. But yeah, very exciting stuff. Congratulations to China Shill, who I know is watching right now. Thank you.
When I swear to God, I was putting together this segment, I was like, we're gonna make China Shill very happy today.
Very happy today. Absolutely.
Please clap.